Alright, I'll look at this just in time. I'm a bit late. Are we up? The usual thing. I think I'm up. I can't really tell. Seems we're alive. Good morning. Good morning, sir. Up and running here. So, finish off this owl today. Absolutely all that's left is this little bit around the edge. Then we get onto the tree. Where do we go here? Pick up where I left off last night, I guess. It's going to be a quiet chat today, is it? There's days when there's 20 people that come in with the first few seconds, and it's a rainy, chilly day in Tokyo, and maybe that's something to do with it. I don't know. Of course not. Let's define the area here first. Hope the knife behaves today. It wasn't the knife that was misbehaving, I think. It was probably me, you know. During last night's session, it didn't break at all. I was being really careful with it, but it didn't break. So it looks like, you know, it was my fault. The first time it broke yesterday, I was being careless and chatting too much, being a bit, not watching carefully. And the second time it broke is when I sharpened it the first time. I had clearly put too much stress on the blade, pushing too hard to do it quickly. And there was no third time, so we'll see if it stays okay today. And my job for later this afternoon is to finally get one of these Twitch highlight reels up on YouTube. Highlight reel or blooper reel, which we'll see. think I spoke too soon about the knife breakage, you know. Do you see where we're at? There she goes, third time in a row. It's clearly we have a problem with the steel. There she is, the tip's gone. Just as I was taking out that gentle thing right there. This is going to be a blooper reel. There's the triangle, it's in there somewhere. I'll leave it, won't be going in that corner again. But just to make sure, let's clear off here. So I'm a bit stuck here now what to do about this. I could sharpen it again, of course. What we have no idea is what's the extent of the weak steel going up this blade here. The whole thing, the rest of it could be no good, or it could be just a few millimeters that are weak. Problem is I don't have any extra knives here. They're all back in my Ome workshop. So at the moment I have no choice. I've got to simply... Come on camera, focus please. What's going on here? Hey camera. Right. I don't know what to say about this, you know, you guys jinxed it or what, I don't know. No, it's looking like now that there's no question about it, it's a bad chunk of blade. Not to, I know, what's that thing they say? A poor workman blames his tools, absolutely. But this is a thing, it's a real thing, you know. Okay, nothing to do it. Shouldn't take long. I'll try and do this to cut the steel quickly, but without using too much pressure to put stress on it. Put the other camera down so we can see. So give both cameras. Okay. I guess it's not something that's visible, but each time I use one of these stones, that was the 400 stone a moment ago. This is the 1000 stone. You try and taper off the strength. The last strokes here now get softer and softer and softer. That takes out quite a lot of the scratching. I think we're okay. This stone's still waiting for a dress. It needs a dress. It's got some bad scratches on the top. I don't quite know where they came from. And the final dress strokes. And then the final knock off the back, which supposedly helps this from, stops this from breaking. We are good to go. Looks as good as new. That other camera looks so dark. I don't know why. Okay, how far in should we zoom here? Is that about it? Okay, sorry about the diversion. It may happen again in 30 seconds. Saru mo ki kara uchiru. Even monkeys fall from trees. It's the hard steel, absolutely. There's two steels in here. The hard steel, which is the part that takes the edge, and the soft steel that backs it up. And the soft steel is unbreakable. It's like you think about a stainless steel knife, like we have a knife and fork at home. You couldn't break that if you jumped up and down on it. But the brittle steel, the edge, the part that you want the sharp edge on, they're extremely brittle. And that's the balance. I don't know anything about the metallurgy end of it. But that's the balance any steel maker has to play with. It's much easier. It's apparently really easy to make steels that are really, that will sharpen extremely fine. They put more carbon in, I think it is. But they're just extremely brittle. And it's that balance that they have to fight and struggle with. The sharper, the brittler they are, the harder they are, the more they'll sharpen. But they become so brittle they're unusable. And I don't know, we may lose this tip again, because, let's see. All we can do is I'm going to hold my breath. Not hold my breath, but I'll be quite careful for the next little while here. Oh man, that is so wicked sharp. I think that's it, it's just extremely brittle steel here at this point, So try not to cut in too deeply. Absolutely avoid stressing it by going around corners. Just try and play it safe here for this next little while. But it is indeed wicked. Wow. working? Good. I think that's the hole where the steel is buried there. Keep away from it. That sharpening too, you know, how long did that take? Was that like what, two minutes or something, or 3 minutes? I don't know. I used to dread it, you know, I didn't know what I was doing, and it was struggle to keep the knife flat, and I'd make 10 strokes, it would look good, put it back on the stone, make 10 more strokes, and I then curved it by mistake. It was back and forth and back and forth. You spend all your time trying to fix your mistakes. Sharpening was a real, I don't know, just whatever, it was something I got to be afraid of, so it gets worse, you know. And back when you don't know what you're doing, when you don't have experience, you know. And now it's just a few seconds work, unless it's really broken really hard, and it takes a few minutes to cut it back, you know. Same as ending, I guess, you know. Experience counts. Careful, right? How was the shop today? It's 8 o'clock in the morning. My shop hasn't opened yet, so. So, how many days have I been working on this owl? Hey, give me a break. Come on, I only get a chance to do it for a couple of hours a day, you know. But yeah, it's taking a bit longer than I thought. I mean, that sharpening yesterday didn't help. And, I don't know, what's this, the 4th day, 5th day? I don't know. I should be finished in a few minutes, the owl part of it. And the branches shouldn't take long. This is the kind of job that if I had nothing else to do, you know, if it was just sit down and get to work and get it done with, this owl would have been like a day, I think. What's it been, like an hour and a half spread over half a dozen sessions? I don't know. Simple little job. Huntany, simple little job, you know. Everything's waiting. The paper's prepared for this job. Tsushima-san is going to be the first printer assigned to it. She'll be working on it out in the Ome workshop. So once I finish the blocks tonight or tomorrow, well, it won't be tonight, I don't think, the key block and the color blocks. Once I finish the blocks tomorrow or so, I myself will do a quick run-up. Might be a good excuse for a YouTube video, I'm not sure. After I do my run-up, the blocks will go out to the Ome workshop where Tsushima-san will get busy. The girls here are busy with the next couple of yokai prints, so they can't get onto this. And then after I do the test printing on this, I myself have to do some yokai. I've got to reprint the Invisible series, the Invisible Man, yokai number 16. We're short of them because the girls spoiled so many copies, so I've got to make a run of them myself sometime this weekend, I guess. Things are stacking up here, actually. With Aimi-san gone now, the first couple of weeks were okay. It didn't really sort of notice, but now it's really hitting that we're missing now. One major member of staff is gone, and it's really hurting now. Stuff that's not getting done. It's really hurting now. Coming up to our busiest time of year as well. Nothing to say about it. I'm trying to tiptoe around all of these little small curves that could break the knife, you know. Instead of going around group in one curve, I'm doing it in like 1, 2, 3 small straight segments. It's not so great. If I was doing some kimono line or something, it would be too visible. But little feathers, I can get away with this, I think, you know. Oh, here, that could have been done as one curve, but I did it in 2 or 3 strokes instead. So. That's already cut. Where am I? There's one in there. Nice, out she comes. There's a gap here. Too long. Right. guess you guys can't hear it on this mic, but the little pitter-patter of footsteps, they're busy again upstairs. I think it's rainy days. I'm talking about the mice. Well, we say mice, and it's rats, whatever it is. You know. Tokyo is a port city, and older buildings like this. We're not too far from the sea, the river there, in an older building. And there's rats up there. They're in between the ceilings, from between the, how to describe it? It's a concrete building. So there's 3 stories plus the roof. And between 1 and 2, and between 2 and 3, there's a concrete slab. But then a floor like ours, the second floor, we're built between the concrete slab below us and the concrete slab above us. But that space is actually quite wide. It's about 4 meters, 3.5 to 4 meters between the slabs. So this kind of design, there's a ceiling above my head with a space between the ceiling and the concrete slab. And there's a floor I'm on, and there's a space between the floor and the concrete slab. Quite an extensive space. We're looking at a foot at least in Western terms. And in those 2 spaces, above me and below me, and again up on the 3rd floor and down on the 1st floor the same, there's all these spaces that these creatures can live in. We've got no access to that area. If I punched a hole in my ceiling, here above my head, that's up into their space. When we did our renovation, we were doing that. We punched holes, we ran wires, we were up in access. While we were doing the renovation, we thought we had kind of got rid of those guys. We had exterminated the nests. We thought we'd basically driven them outside, and that was that. But in the 3 years since we did the renovation, they've come back. They find their ways of getting in. And they're up there. And we've seen no sign of them in the shop itself. There's no rat shit, there's no food missing, there's no nibbling on the packages and stuff like that. So we think we've been effective at isolating them from our world. So they've got their world up there and we've got our world down here. But at quiet times like this, and I think it's more on rainy days, they're having what sounds like the rat Olympics up there. They're back and forth and running around. And the girls in the shop are all like, Dave, do something. And I don't know, they're up there and we're here. Just missed one. I catch it before I forget it. Just shape the edge of that feather. I don't know about the paper. They might nibble the paper, you know, because they do. But there's no. I think they have no access to our part of the building. We've never seen one drop of rat shit here, you know. Print party. I'm not really bothered about them. There's no food up there, so obviously they have a route to get outside and back and forth. And you know, they're obviously going outside to scavenge and get food and stuff. Then they're just, you know, basically living here. I mean, if we see even once rat shit in the shop or some nibbled food packages or some washi or something, then we know we're in trouble. But in 3 years, that hasn't happened. So. Unless they're just like so super smart. Before they come down, they all marshal, okay, don't leave any shit behind. Let's make a raid on the shop down there, but don't leave any traces behind. I don't think rats are that smart. They're smart, but I don't think they're into that. So I think we're okay. I don't think they're invading our space. You know. Fingers crossed, we'll see. It's not a restaurant. We don't have tons and tons of food lying around. Nothing. You know. When we were building the shop a few years ago, we were thinking that this might be a problem. So we thought, let's get ourselves a cat. And that's another option still on the table. So if we do have a problem, that would be step one. Some of these are now hard to see. They were blurred in printing. And the shapes are not easy to distinguish. It's the part where it rolls around the body, and he just started to do sort of splashy dots instead of trying to draw, its individual feathers up to this point, but at the edge where it rolls out of sight, it just becomes funny lines. So it's very difficult to distinguish what he wrote, what he drew. It's really not clear what these things are at all. Okay, I see. Feathers, feathers, feathers. Where am I? Okay. Just treat it like a feather, right? these chats, when I read them afterwards at dinner time or whenever, depending on the time of day, it's funny. I see at that time that there's people coming and going and coming and going. I don't have any sense of that because I'm not able to follow it, in real time. But I see that afterwards. All the time zones. Where am I here? I think that comes around here. I'm not sure. It's almost getting to be a sense of, the workshop is here and there's people coming in and out of the workshop. Hi, how you doing, guy? See you later. Goodbye. Talk to you tomorrow. It's just like a sort of an open plan office I'm in here, with all these visitors passing through. You could imagine some world where we have some future staggering amount of bandwidth and the wall opposite me, just for example, is a live screen, and I'm sitting here in my room and you're seeing me on your wall, as though your wall was a window to my workshop, And as I'm sitting here, there's all these people all over the world on that wall in front of me, how you doing, guy? Hi, good to stop by for a chat. I'm going to watch for a while and whatever, And even though we think this thing we've got right now is wonderful, this internet, we're looking through this tiny window. You've got this tiny little camera pointed at one tiny area of my table. But if you can imagine this thing as an open environment where you saw my entire room, and I saw yours, it was a wall-to-wall interaction. And it's just a question of bandwidth, which I guess is going to get more and more infinite or whatever, And we'll look back at this time where there was just this tiny window of communication, Boy, I can't see what some of this is now. I'm just going to have to make some of it up, I think. Let's see if I can figure it out. What do we got? There's the branch group. Then are these two? The branch group. Yeah, there's two independent feathers there. Get those out of the way. Yeah, this is inside and that's outside. I got it. now. What's in this blob? I don't know. Let's have a look. It's a blob. It's a couple of feathers. I think they've got some, when the guy printed it, I think he got a bit of a blob inside. So let's try and isolate them. Yeah, there's two there. There's two there. And let's put a bit of a something at the end of this to make it less blobby. Height. Okay, I think, am I missing anywhere? I think the feathers are now done. Oops, bad news in the stream here, do we? Sorry to hear this. So somebody sends me a link now that shows the feathers better. Now that I finished carving them. Let me check that then, hang on a sec. Let me have a look at this link that's just coming in. Where are we? This is from which place? Oh yeah, I've been checking that one. I know that's one of the three that we had a look at to start with. This is the Honolulu copy, right? Feathers are printed with a lighter touch. Anyway, feathers are now done. It's time for me to move on to the tree. And for the tree, this is about the knife. I should have left that knife with a broken tip, because for the tree here, what I need now, I don't need a delicate, sharp, super fine knife. I need a rough knife. And if I was in my own workshop back at Ome, I'd open the drawer and pull out a rougher one and put this one away and save it for the next time I was doing some delicate work. But I'm sitting here in Asakusa with just one tool. Point being is, I don't know if you can see this. I don't know if it's going to show. The tree is carved. Anyway, the outlines are really rough. And then inside it's roughed up. It's scratched and bits pulled out of it. It's to make it look more like natural brushwork. So when I say rough, I just mean not smooth and clean. I mean, jaggy. Excuse me. And for that, I do not need a delicate, smooth, finely carved, finely sharpened knife. But that's all I've got on my desk at the moment. So what I'll do is I'll start up here in the smaller branches, which are more delicate and clean. Away we go. Lots of wiggle. Yeah, I cut right through. I know. Here, you see it right now. There's two branches joining here. And if I were to do this, if I came down here, cut, 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 and then cut up, 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 up there, and then cut, 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 cut down here, and cut here, I'd get, you know, a nice V for each one, but these two would almost certainly not line up. So it's much more, but the original brushstroke, as you can see, the brushstroke would have been zoo down here, then another brushstroke to join. So anytime we've got this, I have got to carve through the same path that the brush. So I'm carving deeply here, deeply here, deeply here, deeply here. I'm going to stop. I'm going to come back in the same cut. Now shallowly, I'm going to scratch across the top of this and then plunge it in again deeply. So it looks like I've cut right through there, but it was quite shallow. It's just a scratch. Oh, then when I come in now, I can locate this corner, pop it in, out comes the triangle. Then later when I'm coming down here, down, 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 I'll do it anyway, whatever. I'm coming down from the top of this thing. Look at the angle of the knife here. If I keep going now, we're going to cut into the main branch, but I stand it up bit by bit. Stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up, so it just makes contact. And then, if I got it just right, a small triangle should pop out. Bingo, there we go. So the clearing chisels now have room to do their work without damaging that corner. And we've got a perfect brush stroke and a match. I think actually this one, he's knocked a bit off the bottom of this, I think. Give it a bit of a tone of a joint. There we go. So yeah, I'm going to be cutting through all of those lines. It's bizarre when you first see it, but and my earliest prints, the first ones in that poet series, they didn't do that because I didn't get that. And as a result, they show all kinds of strangeness. Now, where are we here? That's background. This comes straight down into here. That was an email coming in with a specific piece of music attached or to ring the bell. It's obvious what it is or not, I don't know. Recognize the song that played there for a second? What kind of email could that possibly be that would generate that song? Will you make another storytelling video soon? Many people are asking. There's 2 of them up there now. I would very much want to do some more. Because there are so many stories. There's 2 things to think about here. One is that time. I've got to get some sort of normal YouTube videos up in the near future. And second is, those 2 storytelling videos that are up there, they weren't planned like that. They just kind of happened. But now that this example of that is there, now I'm in a conundrum. Because I know that that kind of thing exists, because I know that it's popular. What do? Do I now sit down and plan the next one? They weren't planned, they just happened. So I'm not sure what to do. If I try and plan one, let's try and make another one of those touching stories that people will watch for 28 minutes. You get my point. That's not what I had been trying to do. It just happened. And I'm not sure if I can make it happen again so easily. So I don't know what to say. I've got ideas and sketches for a few more of them. Yeah, one of these evenings when it seems like there's time and I just can't get my head around some other job, I'll put the mic up, I'll put the camera up, turn it on, and see what happens. Now, here's another question for you. Can we see this? There's the tree branch going up, the tree branch going up, a branch coming off, and look at this. This looks like a break in the carving, the original carver. I don't think a branch would come up here and stop and then something would restart. I think this is a break, which he didn't bother to fix because it was such a simple, cheap print. And I'm going to carve right through. And then so that I don't forget it when I'm clearing, I'm going to just color it in. My pen is not going to work here. I need a pencil, I guess. Excuse me a minute. It was indeed a yokai subscription. We play a bit of Monster Mash music from my youth. It was a yokai subscription. Yes, the question here, this is exactly, we were talking about this just actually a few minutes ago, a highlight reel, and I'm very much in the next couple of days going to try and get to that. I want to make a Twitch highlight reel frequently and put them up on YouTube. Once a week, that's probably too much. Once a month, I don't know if that's enough. Anyway, it's on my list of things. It was on my list of things to do last night, but I fell asleep instead of getting to work and whatever. But yes, a Twitch highlight reel. And actually, I think I mentioned this before. It's possible that the community there could maybe help me with this, not by doing the clipping yourself, but by suggesting stuff. Because for me, once they're gone, they're gone. I've got them all on storage here, but I don't remember what was where. And there's now a month of footage. It's days' work to scroll through it. So what I need is suggestions. Hey, what about the one from Thursday the 27th at starting at minute number 4 or something? That would be so helpful. Oh, these crisscross. These are not joined branches. This is an overlapping branch. So this one, we get that effect both ways. We have to cut with a knife across the line, both ways. Let me get this corner out of the way first. There's a piece here, you probably can't see it. This branch comes across. There's been a few yokai subscriptions overnight, and it seems that Jed put something up on, I think he said he was going to do something on Instagram last night, or maybe Facebook. I didn't hear the thing he said. He's really proud of one of the recent images in the series. The one is about a station. It's a salaryman has slept too long on the train and ended up in a strange world. And that one, a lot of people enjoyed that one, so he's showing it around. A little bit of a, what's the word? Not a rip-off, a little bit of an homage to Ghibli, Spirited Away in the buildings and stuff, the background of that one. This is difficult, because the tree branches and the leaves have all come out in gray here, and it's difficult to see which is which. We're also in the mail last night. There was a couple of suggestions. It's funny, suggestions come in groups. The same suggestion comes from more than one person. We're talking about yokai, the themes for the yokai series we're doing. And the suggestion is now a bit late because we're in the process of carving number 12, the last one. But the idea to crowdsource the themes, crowdsource the ideas. Because everybody's got some ideas about what could be possible good new yokai, And when Jed and I work together, this sort of idea comes up quite a lot. Let the crowd decide which prints we're going to make and which characters we're going to parody and stuff like that. And both Jed and I have a real problem with this, because we're not just trying to make the most popular things. We're trying to make, well, it sounds cliched. We're trying to make good stuff rather than popular stuff. And the games we choose have to be well-known games. They have to be popular enough, but it's not just a popularity contest. So if we start crowdsourcing too much, it just gets to be a straight popularity contest. So we're always, trying to balance those two things when we think about what to carve next, what to make next. Curves, curves, curves. Been forgetting to. Reaching for the mouse pad. The Tokyo Crows, you can hear them in the back, nay. Somebody's talking about the owl. Is the owl done? Have you just joined, sir? Here. The owl itself is done, and I'm now working on the branches surrounding it. So. It's funny you notice those crows. I don't even hear them, of course. This is my neighborhood. I don't even hear them. Compared to my home out in Ome, it's a totally different landscape here. Out in Ome, there's just birds. When I first moved there, this is like back in 2000 or 2001. I can't say trouble, but whatever. The mornings, like 4 o'clock in the morning, when the sun peaks up or something, the birds go berserk. And I'm like jamming a pillow over my head, because the place I'd lived before had been more urban and there hadn't been that kind of bird life. Over time you get used to it, of course. It just became part of the sonic background. I didn't notice it anymore. Now here in Asakusa, there are no birds. This is downtown. It's a concrete jungle, literally. There's just no little birds, sparrows and the songbirds and all other kind of stuff. There's, of course, the crows. This is their territory, garbage hunting and whatever it is they do, they eat, And there's also no insects. There's no mosquitoes. There's no flies. There's nothing. We could leave the windows open with no screens. And nothing comes in. I guess that's part of us. Part of the reason there's no birds is because there's no insects for them to eat, and around it goes. And it's kind of sad, It's kind of sad. It's not completely zero here. Just half a block away from me is the temple garden, the temple that's attached to Sensoji. You know, Sensoji temple itself has no garden, but it's attached to what's called Demboin. I don't know which translates. I don't know the Dembo temple. It's an actual place where monks live and do their stuff. And nobody can go in there. It's closed off to the public. When you're going up to Sensoji Temple through Kaminarimon, on the left-hand side there's a place where there's no shops just before you get to the pagoda. And that's the temple compound. They've got a kindergarten there. So you see kids going in and out. Anyway, they've got a big garden. They've got a garden behind them that's open some years, every second year I think, I'm not sure. It's open in the spring for a couple of weeks. We can go in there. So there's a garden and a pond there, and it's actually really close to me. If I stood outside my front door and hucked a rock up over some of the nearby shops, I could get a rock into that pond. That's how close it is. I'm no baseball star, but that's how close it is. I can get a rock into that pond. So in there's birds and insects and stuff in there, but they don't come out here. Carving these tree branches is very much going to be a two-stage process. This one, for example, this is just a branch. I've just cut it as a thin branch just to get the shape and location of it. But if we look at the original, it's beaten up. It's given some distressing. It's made to show that the brush was running out of pigment. You know. I can't do those things together, so I put the location first. I carve the branch first. We'll do a test print. Then when it's all clear and clean and I can see what I'm doing, then we'll start the distressing. That's a separate process. And what's above here? Is it a black leaf or is it a green leaf? What is it? If it's a green leaf, we leave it. If it's a black leaf, it stays. It's a black leaf, heavily distressed. But let's just get the shape now. Don't cut too deeply, Dave, here. Just get the shape for now, first stage. And I think that thing next to it must be the same, right? Another black leaf, and then on top of it, let's see. Yeah, black leaf and a black leaf. So carve all these shapes. Doesn't need to be neat and clean. The rougher the better here. That's going to be the edge of the print. Again, nothing smooth and nice, quite rough, ragged. So, chunky piecework, bit by bit. Height. Chop it out piece by piece here. We don't want smooth, delicate lines here. this one, I believe, to here is a branch, right? It's a branch with a leaf at the end of it. Hi. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Show the division. Height. Coming along. Oh, am I out of camera range here? What am I doing? Be careful. Do you offer shop tours? Shop tour? It's a shop. People can come in, and my workbench is visible from the shop. People come in and look around the place. My bench is in the back room here. Dave explores noodles. Oh, you're linking to NHK shows. Is that still online? That noodles, that was on, where was that? I went to, jog me, Yamanashi. I think there's 3 of them should still be online. They keep online for a year. So the Yamanashi trip is online. I went to Kinosaki Onsen, which was a much nicer program. And I went to a town called Dendo to see the Ningen Shogi, the place where they play shogi games with human actors. So I think there's 3 or maybe 4 of those NHK programs are actually online if you poke around for them. The most fun one, absolutely the one, was when I got to go to Kinosaki Onsen. Because the new rules were in place. NHK sort of changed the rules a while back about how they treat the accommodation on those programs. There'd been a tiny scandal a while back, not with me, but with somebody else. When I did the one, for example, about Shirakami Sanshi, we had got the first day of filming up in the forest done, and they get to the part of the program where let's see where Dave's going to stay tonight. And we arrive at this beautiful luxury resort, seaside. We go into the room and they've got the camera on me, and I walk in the room and oh my God, I'm going to enjoy staying here tonight. Throw the windows open, beautiful sea breeze, fabulous. Finish the scene, cut. Guys, okay, let's get your bags, let's head for our accommodation. And I'm like, what? I'm here. He says, no, it's just for show, just for the program. We're actually staying somewhere else. And that at some other point had turned out to be a problem for NHK, where I guess because they were showing something that wasn't really happening. So the new rule has changed, and that was in place by the time I went to Kinosaki Onsen. Same thing, we go to the top place in town. I dump my bag on the floor in front of the camera, it pans back to see this fabulous room. There's a private garden, there's a private bath, there's a little waterfall. And I'm like, I am so much going to enjoy staying here tonight. Hi, cut, camera, end of scene. Okay, Dave, open your bags, you are staying here tonight. So the rest of the staff heads for a little junk minshuku, and I'm there in the top place in town. So these days I like doing those programs. Those noodles weren't bad, Are you linking to my cooking program where I made some noodles? They turned out not so bad. I didn't get a chance to eat too much of them because we had to share them with all the staff, the camera staff. Same thing happened on the Kinosaki Onsen program. There's a giant, 14-course crab dinner. I got to eat the first mouthful of each course, then it got set aside while we filmed the rest of it. At the end of the filming, everybody jumps in, and all the staff and the mic guy and the camera guy and the producer, they all jump in, and we shared it together. But it was fun. They're good fun, those programs. They're good fun. Nice break for me from the work here. Get paid a little bit, but it's mostly a vacation. They know that, so that's why they don't pay so much, but it's okay. And I get fans. I get mail. People come upstairs to the shop. Dave, I love your travel programs. different places that life takes you. How many of them have you found? Kinosaki Onsen. How did I end up working with NHK? I don't specifically have an answer to that. I know the earliest experience with them is like back in 1989 when I was just starting the Poets series, and I sent out PR material to the various news programs. So they didn't come to my workshop as a wanting to use me as talent, quote unquote, but that was I was a subject of something on the news. So over the next few years that happened. I would send out information about my exhibitions, and occasionally NHK would come and do it. And that led to some chances to go on some feature programs, a magazine type program and stuff like that. Here's this interesting guy living in Tokyo, blah, blah, blah. And I think the next step I was asked by the Mainichi newspaper to write a bunch of stories for them. I had been doing my own newsletter, sending it to the media. And I started to get requests from media places to write stories for them. These people all like they all have not just TV program channels, but they have magazines and books and everything else goes with it. So I started to do writing for them. I don't know, just one by one, it just grows bit by bit by bit. The phone calls are mixed. The one you're looking at there, you've linked here to, for example, Kinosaki Onsen program, and the one about the dance party, the Tokyo 2020i. That's totally different. The Kinosaki one, I'm hired to be the host of the program for a travel program. I get paid by them specifically with that in mind. The other program, the 2020i, that's different. That's a program they were doing about Asakusa. And they came around looking for interesting places and people. And I didn't get paid for that. And I wouldn't get paid for that because that's a kind of a PR type program. They're coming to me as the same way they do when they're walking around town and they're visiting places. I'm not hired by NHK for that. NHK on their own right is featuring this particular person. So it's two very different kinds of programs. When they put me on the news, you never, ever, ever get paid, of course. But if it's a travel program, I'm staff, I'm hired. I have an employee account at NHK, and it's a hired job. So it's two very different types of programs. Sometimes it's not clear which of the things is going to be in play. There was an example. What program was it? I forget. I don't know. A year or so ago, or a couple of years ago, just soon after we'd opened Asakusa. They were here to feature us, and I wasn't sure if I was being hired to do a program for them or if they were doing a program about us on their own. And you never know. None of this has contracts. It's all just verbal agreements and stuff. And the way you can tell is at the last day of filming, when it's all in the can, the producer comes up to you and says, "Dave, this was cool. Thank you. You did a real good job. I'll let you know when the broadcast is ready," and stuff like that. And if he's carrying a little gift bag with him, a bag of, a little box of NHK cookies and stuff like that, then I know this is not a paid job. This is a job where I am just expected to play along with being part of their content. And the staff here knows that, and we were all into this. And any of these programs, when the thing is over, they come up to you. If they're carrying cookies, it means we ain't going to get paid. And it's okay. It's the way things work. There's an ethical thing going on. You can't get paid to be on the news. Just that's the way things work, of course. So I'm not being angry or sarcastic or upset about this in any way whatsoever. If it's a travel program, I'm a hired gun. That's that. If it's a program about me, I'm content. And by definition, I can't be paid. So the NHK they contract with a company. They do pretty good cookies though, so the staff is kind of happy once the producer's gone. They wait till he's down the stairs and then they pounce on the package. You know. It's good fun. Now, what's this? I have no idea what's in there. A really ragged torn leaf. 1, 2, 3 indentations, and then something that's split in 2 pieces. Let's do these separately. Let's get the branch out of the way. NHK cookies. Where am I? Oh, lots of questions I'm missing here. Sorry. That wasn't incorrect. I knew what I was doing. Come on, give me a break. When you're speaking to women out there like that, this is not original with me. There's a guy here who works for, what's it, TBS TV? I forget. I don't know which. Asahi TV, maybe. His name is, I don't know, Jun something. I forget his last name. He's got Jun no Sampo. He's a guy about my age, a little bit older than me. And it's a daily program, 10, 15, 20 minutes long. And they've prepared it in advance, but he doesn't know what it is. They put a camera on the guy, 2 or 3 cameras. Jun, go for a walk down the street, see what you can see, meet who you want to meet, go in wherever you want to go in, whatever, and just do what you want to do. And so this guy he's a really personable guy, talks and chats and has fun with life, and it's become a nice, pleasant program to watch. So he walks down the street, and it's become a thing. He's famous now, so all the people approaching on the street, they recognize what it is, they see him, they see the camera, and they know this is an episode of Jun no Sampo. So they play along, because there's a script to it that everybody knows how it works. He bumps into a woman, and whatever, if she's a woman with pushing a baby carriage or whatever, he makes some joke about, and he moves her down a level in age, you know, to try and falsely flatter her. It's false flattery. She knows it's false flattery. It's a joke. She goes, hee, 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 and he gets a smile, and that's the way it goes. So I have that in mind. I meet those girls in that thing, and here, what am I going to say? Because it's going to be boring. If you just keep it boring, it'll be boring. Hello, how are you? Hi, I'm fine. What are you doing here? We're on school tour. You know, it just becomes a really, really boring thing. So you have got to crack it open a little bit. So whatever. So those girls were obviously college girls. Absolutely. Everybody could see they were college girls. You know, they might as well have a sign on their forehead that says, we are college girls on, you know, spring break or whatever it was. So you play the Jun game and you say, oh, what middle school are you from? You know, and they all play the game. They know what's going on. It's not David making a mistake. They know David is playing this game of false flattery. And they giggle and do the right thing. They cover their mouths and they say, ooh, hee, 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 hee. No, we're not really that young. We're college girls. And the ice is broken and away you go. I don't know, such a thing may not play very well. If there's Western women right now listening to this stream, whatever, they might just be rolling their eyes. Oh, Jesus, who does he think he is? Whatever. I'm sorry, you know, cultures are what they are. And in this specific culture, under that specific situation, this is not any kind of an insult to those girls. It's just sort of a game that is played as part of, you know, the normal way that people have conversations with each other. In this kind of a, you know, TV talent walking down the street sense, you know. So it's a thing. There's something else too about that Kinosaki Onsen. Just a couple of weeks ago, not even a couple of weeks ago, a week ago in the shop, a couple of guys were in a print party from Britain. They didn't know each other. They ended up in the same print party from Britain. We know what that is. Actually, that's the backup computer catching the mail before my real computer. So we'll hear that again in a minute. Anyway, he had been just some months ago to Kinosaki Onsen. So of course I asked him, how did you know about the place? Because I'm waiting for the answer. Oh, I saw this dude on NHK TV, whatever, promoting it. Whatever. I know he hadn't seen me. He hadn't seen the program. So it's too bad. Whether I've had an impact on their tourism or not, I can't say, but whatever. Okay, where are we? This area, I think, is clear. But tell you what, to avoid confusion down the line here, I'm going to pop out some of these unneeded areas. Because when I do test printing, they will look like leaves. There's another sidelight to the NHK thing, but that might be misinterpreted if I tell this episode too. I know one of the recent times I was doing one of those, it might have been that Kinosaki one, I'm not sure, I can't remember. They're all different producers. I said something like, geez, it's been a few months since you guys have called me, have you forgotten my phone number or something, kind of just joking around this. And he said, no, but he said, there's a thing, don't, next year, he said, we probably won't be calling you quite as much as we've done this year, and I'm like, what? What do you mean? I thought I was doing a good job, And he's like, yeah, no, you're doing a wonderful job, thank you very much, but, and then he just told me, you're not allowed to say this in some countries, but he just told me, you're getting too old. And it wasn't like they have some, age restriction. Nobody works for an HK once over 65. I don't think that's the deal. His point was that they were trying to show a certain feel and mood to this program, and it's the juniors. You know what that is, isn't he? And he's not being evil or anything wrong. There's a certain mood and a tone and a style to the program, which of course they have an image in mind of what they want to do, and they have different hosts every week. There's a variety of hosts, and he said just at the moment we're top heavy on old white English guys with beards, and that's just the way it was. They needed a few more episodes and programs that have the young, happy young lady who's bubbly and geeky and, oh, this is so cute, And they don't want to go that way entirely, but at the moment they're top heavy the other way. They had let it go a bit too far. And I know why, because as the old British white guys with beards, we do a really good job in the program, There's no script in advance, and some of it is not that easy to do. You visit some place, in the town, and it's all cold. They ask you, when they hire you for these jobs, they say, don't look it up, just come cold. Because they want you to be honestly, oh, wow, I didn't know about that. They want you to be, honestly open and learning things. So that's okay, no problem. So you come in cold. But what it means then is that you're also not prepared. So you spend an hour, whatever, in one part filming this specific part of town and doing something. Then the producer was, okay, time for the recap. Dave, go and stand back there. And he gestures to a spot on the sidewalk. They move the cameras back about 10 meters or so. Wait for the traffic to go. He says, okay, good. Give me 15 seconds recap on the last thing we saw. So I'm like, oh, okay, countdown, Dave. Okay, let's go. And I start walking towards the camera. I've got a wireless mic. And they're zooming in on me. And I calculate the time between where I am and the camera. Walk slowly, looking into the lens. And then I do a recap or whatever it is, What's going on here? It's not even 9:30. That's the shop phone. But no. Oh, I know what this is. It's, okay, that's Hosono-san. She's outside waiting, I bet you. She's got no key. Teiko-san's here. Hosono-san's waiting outside. Yeah, I can hear somebody knocking on the door. Excuse me again. Stories or whatever they are, they have to wait. Right now I've got to go and open the front door. Back in a minute. Exactly. Hosono-san was waiting outside. So where's Teiko-san today? Maybe there's an email from her. I don't know. I haven't been checking. Okay, we got to get this wrapped up here. The last tiny step of that story was, I don't know, whatever. That part of it, doing those ad-lib moments for the programs, people like me, we're kind of good at that. We can do it. You know, it's no problem. This is Hosono-san getting the flags and stuff ready. And those young little girls who look cute with the kimonos and the umbrellas, they're not so good at that. Good morning, good morning. I don't know where Teiko-san is.
I don't know either.
So, okay, it looks like I had better get out there because there's a print party at 10 o'clock, and if Teiko-san's not here, if she's cancelled on us, then it's my job to do this. So, sorry for the sudden ending to this, but I have to get out to work here. Here we are. Here's our owl coming along. This evening I'll be on the webcam, and this evening should get a bunch of these leaves done. So tomorrow morning's stream will be one of two things. It'll be the final continuation of these leaves if I don't get it finished tonight. And if I do get it finished tonight, it'll be something else. Whatever. Today's Thursday. Stream this morning, stream tonight. Tomorrow morning there'll be a stream. Tomorrow night's stream is perhaps going to be sizing with our sizing machine, as we were teasing people last night. Because I have a date with Aoyama-san upstairs to do a ton of sizing Friday afternoon running into Friday evening. And we're going to be using the sizing machine. But right now I have got to get into that shop. Thank you very much for watching. Sorry for the bit of scrappiness here again to end this. I'm going to sign off. Thanks again for watching, guys. First step, kill my image. Second step, remember that my mic is live, but hang it up. And final step, stop streaming.